Hey, Truth Seeker, welcome back. Zach here. It is Friday, May 22nd, 2015. Today's date numerology could be taken this way, among other ways. Just add up these three digits here, and you get a date numerology of 42. We're heading into the weekend, and lately it seems that the weekends have been times for the media to release stories of police being shot, heroic police officers dying. And this weekend's special story is that this woman here, who was just about to take her maternity leave because she had given birth prematurely, supposedly, weeks ago, and now the baby was just coming out of the hospital and she was going to get to be with her baby. But instead of that happening, she was shot and killed in action the day before. A story with high drama. And the headlines they give us are just so bad, Truth Seeker. They're mind numbing. Here we have 1 and 2 word sentences: volunteer, new mom, officer, victim. Should we know that the word volunteer has a gematria of 42, corresponding with today's date, the date it's CNN's big headline. But this story's all full of curious numerology. Before we get into that, what I want to do is I just want to watch the news coverage of it. So let's begin here, and we're going to pay extra careful attention to the head cop in charge. Here we go.
The sirens started wailing at around 1 o'clock this afternoon, with officers racing to help one of their own. Officer Kerrie Orozco was part of a fugitive task force conducting surveillance in the area near 30th and Martin. They were tracking this suspect, 26-year-old Marcus Wheeler, wanted for felony assault. And when they moved to bring him in, police say Wheeler pulled a gun.
Gunshots were exchanged between the suspect and the officers.
We're just going to pause right here. If you are new to my videos, what I expose is gematria, the numbers hidden behind the words in these news stories that so often include people with very awkward names, such as the woman who is the victim here, a last name that probably nobody has ever seen before. That isn't to say she's not a real person, but it is a bizarre name. And so is this guy's name, Todd Schmaderer. Schmaderer. You know? Once upon a time, I used to look at these stories and think they were nonsensical, so well timed, so politically driven, so easy to see through, but I had no idea what gematria was, the practice of coding numbers and words. Then one day I learned about it. And I started applying it to things. The first thing I applied it to see if there was any relevance that came up, were the names of the 50 states of the United States of America. And what I found was a very curious pattern. Most importantly, only 3 states had 33 names. Freemasons, Scottish Rite Freemasons, have a highest degree of 33. The only 3 states with 33 names were the first Delaware, the last Hawaii, so first and 50th, and the 6th Massachusetts. And what's the numerology of 33? It's 3 plus 3 equals 6. Thus, the 6th state, Massachusetts. With the first 13 colonies, only 3 were established on dates with 33 numerology. The first and last, Delaware and Rhode Island. And the 9th, New Hampshire. And there's a natural pairing between 3, 3, and 9 as well. As we well know, 3 times 3 is 9. Anyhow, once upon a time, I didn't have nearly as much evidence for my assertions. And some people said, well, you need more evidence. Well, in that period of time, which has been more than a year now, I've documented how almost all of these stories are full of the exact same numbers. So if you're new to my post, this is why I'm explaining. Please go back and watch my other videos. They continue to code with the same numbers. The name Chief Todd Schmaderer sums to 96, like the word Freemason, like the word knowledge, like the word Satanism. And in that time doing this research, I've noticed that many police badges have the Freemason compass right on them, which I've shown in other videos. You can go to your web search right now, type in police badge, Freemason compass. A bunch of web results will come up of how many images are out there with the police badge and the Mason compass. The word police equals 33. Like the first, last, and 6th state. Anyway, want to see that gematria real quick? It's right here. Pythagorean gematria. Chief Todd Schmatterer, Pythagorean Gematria, 96. All right, let's continue.
by gunfire.
According to Omaha Police Chief Todd Schmatter, Orozco's fellow officers tried to save her, administering first aid and CPR before she was rushed to the hospital. But it wasn't enough. Meanwhile, the suspect ran away. Injured in the firefight, he collapsed in the backyard of a nearby house.
He just fell over and his eyes went open and rolled back. That was it.
Police found a semi-automatic handgun next to his body and scoured the neighborhood searching for additional evidence. The shootout terrified this neighborhood, with their streets now a deadly crime scene.
I like how that guy had Nebraska Cornhuskers gear on. More product placement. Anyhow, let's just go through this story, even starting with the headline. Remember, today's date numerology corresponds with 42, so does the word volunteer. They say new mom. Her age in this story, as we will read, is 29 years old. And notice that 29 is the first number with a numerology of 11. Or, excuse me, it is, but it's because 2 plus 9 equals 11. 29 has a numerology of 11. 11 central in this story. Officer, one of these words with 44 gematria. The word kill equals 44. Police officers get killed and they do killing. Duality. Freemasons believe in duality. There's a lot of duality in that name officer. Also notice how it begins with 666. And this is what I've always seen my whole life, truth seeker. It just makes so much sense. Anybody who would be a police officer is, their heart's not in the right place. Nobody whose heart's in the right place would want to be a police officer. There's nothing good that police officers do in this world. Nothing. Imagine if in place of police officers we had something called response teams who went and took care of crisis with whatever skills were necessary to deal with the crisis. We have places like that set up throughout the country. They're called group homes. What I'm saying is, federally, they could fund group home employees to go take care of crisis instead of arrest people. Give them the skills to overcome whatever their problem is. If you're saying, what about violent criminals? Well, we need a solution response team for that too. But you know what? Whenever you send people armed with guns to handle things the way police officers do, you're never going to get anything good. If the criminals knew the crisis response team was coming, I doubt there'd be any casualties, is my point. Also, it's an emphasis that she was about to go on maternity leave. Maternity is one of these 44 words, and that's interesting. That is interesting. Maternity leave forms the gematria of 62, like the word mason. From the reporting, CNN's new mom, Coach K at local boys and girls club, Girl Scout leader, Special Olympics volunteer. I mean, look at how this is written. Who are they writing for? Omaha, Nebraska police officer, Kerrie Orozco. What stands out to me are these KO initials, True Seeker, and we'll get to that. Even ties in with the location. Was all of those things and much more. It was in the last role as a member of her police department's gang unit that Orozco lost her life. On Thursday, her daughter Olivia Ruth, another name curious we'll get into, True Seeker, those initials are also special, who'd been born premature months earlier, was set to leave the hospital. Orozco was set to start maternity leave as she welcomed her baby home. Instead, Orozco's family and the many more who loved her must begin the process of coping with her death and a shootout that also killed the suspect. So this name, Kerrie Orozco, it's the perfect fake name for a police officer. Kerrie has a gematria of 39, Orozco 38, which corresponds with the word death, also having a simple English gematria of 38. The name Kerrie Orozco sums to 77, 39 plus 38. Whoops, where did I put it, Truth Seeker? The word police officer, police is a 33 word, officer is a 44 word. Police officer sums to 77, and so does police department. Department's another 44 word. Police department, police officer, both 77 words. And all throughout what's being waged against us in this post 9/11 era, hoax after hoax, we're seeing our police departments become more militarized, more populous. We're seeing less teachers, less school faculty, more police, more militarization. Think about that on a base level. Less investment in education, which was already awful. More investment in police officers, which we already had too many of, too much spending on, and not enough results. If you look at the statistics for crime, if they're anywhere near true, it shows you that our police forces are very ineffective with their dollars spent. But we don't hear that reporting much in our media. Just more and more stories for reasons they need more and more money, more and more cameras, more and more this, more and more that. And then we get a story such as, oh, President Obama put the stops on it by saying no grenade launchers. Oh, well, that's comforting, so they can have everything but grenade launchers. What a joke. So besides her name equaling 77, those initials, KO, they sum to 26, the God number. If you go back and watch my very first video, the numbers I talk about that you need to know are 26, 33, 47, 74. We talk about those ones all the time. Here we're already seeing those numbers come up. 26 is the God number in Gematria, which predates English. The word God sums to 26, not by coincidence. The alphabet's 26 letters. This story is set in Nebraska, Omaha, Nebraska. Nebraska has a gematria of 26. Omaha, 20. Omaha, Nebraska sums to 46. And as I've said before, long before this story was announced, in all of the police-related shooting stories where the police are the victim, the number 46 and 64 is coded. All of them, it's been that way. Here we have again the setting, Omaha, Nebraska, which yields the gematria of 46. If you did S and K exception, it would sum to 64, also acceptable. Her daughter, who she was supposed to just see before getting killed in a shootout, was named Olivia Ruth. Olivia Ruth, the initials OR, 15 plus 18, 33. The same abbreviation for Oregon, the 33rd state, the only state with a gematria of 74. It's another discussion. The name Olivia Ruth in Pythagorean gematria sums to 54, a number we're seeing coded a lot right now too. The president's coming up on his 54th birthday. I think it has something most definitely to do with that. I think they're forecasting the next major event, and all these things and all their lies of stories are subtle hints. The name Olivia Ruth, in simple English gematria, Olivia 68, Ruth 67. And when I see the number 67 with women, it just reminds me of female and Jewish gematria. Simple English, female equals 42. This story is getting big headlines today on a date with 42 numerology. In the story, she was referred to as Coach K, like the coach of the Blue Devils. I wrote a lot about him, did a video on him earlier this year. Lots of strange numerology connections with the Blue Devils. Of course, K's the 11th letter. There's a relationship between KKK, the Klan, and police. Rodney King beating once upon a time on 3/3, March 3rd by the LAPD, which also equals 33. Simple English gematria. L plus A plus P plus D is 12 plus 1 plus 16 plus 4 equals 33. Her funeral will be at 11 a.m. at St. John's Catholic Church. And would you look at the gematria of St. John's Catholic Church? With Pythagorean gematria, it's 93, like the number of Thelema, coded into so many ritualistic deaths. With S exceptions, it's 111. So if I am wrong and these people are truly dying, maybe a Kerrie Orozco really did die. And she really did have this name. She could be part of some sick ritualistic sacrifice, all for the purpose of this agenda. I mean, it's not out of the question that these people would murder and kill people to force their agenda through. It would just fit the pattern of sickness. Now we've seen a lot of 26. Nebraska, her initials. The killer in this story is said to be 26-year-old Marcus Wheeler, M.W. Think about M and W, reflections of each other. The name Marcus Wheeler with Pythagorean gematria sums to 61, like church, like Sea of Galilee. The 61st book in the King James Version of the Bible, the 61st book has 61 verses. The word church is 61. The only book of the Bible to have symmetry that way. The word prime equals 61. These numerologists who code these stories most definitely love prime numbers. It's another thing they fixate on. The last thing that I stood out right away because of all the 26 tributes True Seeker was that her baby's birthday is February 17th. Meaning it's been in care. I'm going to have to check the number of days on that. I should look that up. But anyway, February 17th, True Seeker, right away, I just know that that's Michael Jordan's birthday. And when I think of Jordan, I think of 26 too because of the coding of his name. Jordan sums to 26. Jordan was simple English gematria sums to 62. Reflections of each other. Very much connected to Masonry in this study of numerology. And this seems to be a story with numbers coded for Nebraska. And also fitting in with a lot of the other numbers we're seeing recently, tying into women. With regards to that, True Seeker, look at this. Here was a recent headline. Woman dies after 42 years in coma at age 67. Remember, the word female is 67 in Jewish gematria, 42 in simple English gematria. And if you followed this story, it was about getting more of a political agenda through. The story was all full of the numbers we see so often, corresponding with death and everything. You know, they're just getting these numbers in. Earlier, there was this article on how Hillary Clinton is the perfect age to be president, and it talks about her being post-menopause, her being 67. The word perfect equals 73 in simple English gematria. The name Hillary Clinton in Pythagorean gematria equals 73. Clinton, of course, is a 33 name. And if the presidential race to be is Hillary versus Jeb Bush, think about how many of us will just be so disgusted. Jeb Bush might be the perfect matchup, because look at what his name gematria is. Such a joke, True Seeker. Such a joke. So that's pretty much the message. One more police victim story for the weekend. We'll see what other details come out. It looks hoaxalicious, but if I'm wrong, still part of this ritualistic sickness. All right, until next time.